The paradox of universal enlightenment. Are we all Buddha? Okay, here's a thought experiment for you. What if we solved the problem of human suffering? What if we created a world where no one suffered anymore? Sounds pretty good, right? Well, what if I told you that this world would actually be far worse than the one we live in today? It turns out that human beings are complex creatures, and removing one aspect of our lives can have some very unintended consequences. No more pain, no more suffering, just peace and tranquility. Sounds like paradise, right? Well, not so fast. There are some potential downsides to consider before we dive into those downsides. Though, let's take a moment to appreciate the benefits of this world. This is because one of the ways we find meaning in life is through overcoming obstacles and challenges. When we achieve a goal, it's not just the feeling of accomplishment that makes it worthwhile, but also the struggle that we had to go through to reach that goal. If life is easy and everyone is happy all the time, then what's the point of anything? Well, it's possible, but it requires a certain mindset. A world where people are free from suffering, but still retain their individuality and sense of purpose. This world may not be the utopian paradise we imagine, but it would be a far better place than the one we live in now. We need to find a way to be enlightened, without becoming complacent or losing sight of our individuality. Without suffering and imperfection, life would be meaningless. But I disagree. Or do you think that suffering is an important part of the human experience? Let me know in the comments below. I believe that meaning is not something that is given to us, but something that we create for ourselves. We can find meaning in the connections we make with others, in the work we do, and in the experiences we have. Even in an enlightened world, there would still be plenty of opportunities to find meaning and purpose. This is easier said than done, but it is possible. One way to do this is to focus on the journey, not the destination. Enlightenment is often seen as a destination, a place we reach when we have achieved a certain level of wisdom or understanding. But what if we saw it as a journey instead? A journey of self-discovery and growth? This would allow us to embrace the uncertainty and mystery of life without trying to control or predict everything. By focusing on the journey, we can appreciate the beauty of the present moment without worrying about what might have been or what might be in the future. We might find ourselves asking, what's the meaning of this? If there is no suffering, then there is no heroism. If everyone is enlightened, then no one really knows their own path. There is no longer any desire to explore the unknown or push the boundaries of what is possible. This leads to a kind of stagnation where no one is willing to risk anything or try anything new. The fear of failure is gone, but so is the desire to succeed. This can lead to a world that is stuck in mediocrity, where no one is willing to strive for anything more. Everyone is happy and at peace. There is no war or conflict, no hate or anger. You finally have enough money to pursue your dreams and do whatever you want. At first, this is exciting. You can buy all the things you've ever wanted and never have to worry about money again. But after a while, you start to realize that there is more to life than just material possessions. You start to feel a sense of emptiness and meaninglessness. You ask yourself, what's the point of all this? Now imagine that everyone is in the same position. They have everything they could ever want, and still they feel empty and unfulfilled. What is the point of enlightenment if it leads to a world like this? People live in harmony with each other and with nature. It's the utopian world that many of us dream of. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want, without fear of consequence. This should be every person's dream, right? Well, not necessarily. In fact, having too many choices can be overwhelming and lead to a kind of paralysis by analysis. If you have everything you could ever want, then how do you choose what to do? How do you decide what path to take in life? And this isn't just a theoretical problem. There are real-world examples of people who have been faced with too many choices and have become overwhelmed. For example, there are studies that show that people who have too many options when it comes to food or romantic partners tend to be less happy and more dissatisfied with what they have, because they are constantly wondering what might have been if they had chosen something else. When everyone is enlightened, everyone has access to all the information they could ever need. This means that everyone knows what everyone else is doing and everyone's reasons for doing it. With this knowledge, it's impossible to make a decision without worrying that there is something better out there. In this video, we're going to explore what happens when everyone achieves enlightenment. If you're new here, this is the channel where we explore the most intriguing questions in philosophy and psychology. In this video, we're going to define enlightenment as a state of being free from suffering. But that's not the only definition out there. To some, enlightenment means reaching nirvana, a transcendent state beyond human experience. To others, it's about living a life in accordance with the teachings of a particular religion or spiritual tradition. But for the sake of this video, let's stick to the most widely accepted definition: a state of being free from suffering. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. Let's get started. Before we dive into the meat of this topic, we need to discuss the elephant in the room, which is the word enlightenment. So let's imagine a world where everyone is enlightened. But as with any utopian scenario, there are some potential downsides. The first potential downside to consider is the loss of individuality. When everyone is enlightened, everyone has the same level of understanding and wisdom. This can lead to a blurring of personal identities, as there is no longer anyone who is more or less enlightened than anyone else. It's like if you were at a party and everyone was wearing the same outfit. You wouldn't be able to pick out any individuals, because they would all blend together into a sea of sameness. And while this might sound appealing at first, losing our individuality could be a bad thing. What makes us human is our unique perspectives and experiences that shape how we see the world. If everyone is the same, then what makes us different from each other? What makes us unique? Some people might argue that it's our relationships with others that make us who we are. But if everyone is enlightened and therefore beyond the need for relationships, then what's left? Another potential downside to consider is the meaning crisis. When no one suffers anymore, there is no longer any meaning or purpose in life. Let's say you win the lottery. This leads us to another potential downside, the paradox of choice. In an enlightened world, there are endless possibilities. So what is the solution to this problem? Is there a way to achieve enlightenment without falling into the traps we've discussed? Imagine a world where everyone is enlightened, not in the sense that they are perfect or have achieved nirvana, but simply that they are awake and aware. Some people might argue that a world where everyone is enlightened would be boring. Of course, this is just my opinion. What do you think? Would you want to live in a world where everyone is enlightened? If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.